Welcome everybody, to this Good at the Game review and playthrough of Super Mega Baseball 3. I'm a huge Super Mega Baseball fan dating back to the original game and was very excited when SMB 3 was announced, and am very excited to play it. Let's cut to the chase. Is SMB 3 worth $45 and a 2-year waiting period? SMB 2 came out in 2018. I believe the short answer is not really. SMB 3 introduces a few cool new traits and mechanisms to the game, and I think tries to make the gameplay more realistic, possibly trying to close the gap between it and games like MLB The Show. SMB has always been a cartoony game, that doesn't change here, but they do introduce new features that make it a bit more realistic, including things like wild pitches and pickoff attempts, finally. However, it lacks cross-platform play. It does have it, but only in one mode, and the general UI cleanup and gameplay cleanup just doesn't seem worth a 2-year waiting period and a $45 price point. At a high level, if you are just a casual fan, there's really no incentive to get this game right now. For this review, I'll be looking at general gameplay and exhibition mode, as well as team customization. Let's start off there, because they actually have this new trait system that I really like. So with traits, you can now define if a player has specific abilities based on the situation. Are they really great with a runner on second and third, or are they terrible with runners in scoring position? Do they take good high pitches? Do they take better low pitches? Are they good against righties? Are they good against lefties? This is something that I actually didn't even realize I was missing in Super Mega Baseball 2. The ability to define a player as a utility player, so they don't lose stats if they play their second position. This is a great feature, and again, I didn't even realize I was missing it. And you can assign multiple traits to people, up to 2, which is also great. You can also assign traits to pitchers, so are they better against a certain handed batter? Are they good against lefties versus righties? Are they terrible when the batter has 3 balls? Are they good when the batter has 3 balls? Are they good with 2 strike counts? Not as many traits available for pitchers as far as the type of trait you can apply, but I'm okay with that, I guess. A sidebar here, you can only make your players up to 49 years old, so unfortunately, my dream of having a 99-year-old closing pitcher is dead, still, and I blame Metalhead for that. One thing that I did want to look at here is the Pitch Arsenal editor. So a disappointing thing is you'll notice that the same pitches that were available in SMB2 are still available in SMB3 with no additions. So all you R.A. Dickey fans out there, sorry, you cannot have a knuckleballer in this game, and don't try and tell me that it's the same thing as a screwball. It is clearly not. One huge addition here, and it's a stupid addition, but your closer can finally have up to 5 pitches. They're not limiting the number of pitches that your closer can have, which was a very stupid limitation from SMB2, and they fixed it, and it should have been fixed earlier, but thank you for finally addressing that. Overall, we've got some good changes that should have been made in SMB2 that they finally made here. Nothing major, a couple of cool things, but I guess we'll deal with it. Now we're going to look at some gameplay. Good addition, finally, is that you can turn DH on or off. So now you no longer have to have your shitty first baseman batting cleanup just because he's a great batter. You can have a DH. Thank God. Here you'll notice the roster lineup card. Nothing much has changed here. Couple of small UI changes that we'll go over. On the right side, you'll notice as I'm hovering over players, a couple of little gloves appear. At first, I thought maybe that meant that these were Golden Glove players, but it just means that they're the same position as the person you're highlighted on. So here we've got Scooter Sandbrick, and on the right, we've got a couple of people that I could replace him with. So a good UI change, nothing spectacular, doesn't blow me away, but it's a quality of life thing that probably could have been made in SMB2, but instead was made in SMB3. Is it worth $45? You tell me. And that just speaks to a larger trend in this game. As you'll see and have already seen, several of the, quote, improvements are just minor things that they could have done in SMB2. It kind of makes me feel like SMB2 was the beta for this, which it's a 2-year-old game, and it's definitely playable on its own, SMB2 is, so I hate to consider it that way, but they really haven't done a ton here to make me feel like this is a brand new game. It feels more like DLC for the prior version. Needless to say, that's disappointing, especially considering we've waited since 2018 for this game. Let's get to gameplay. So here I'm playing as the Platypi against the Beewolves. It's a 5-inning game exhibition. This is the second exhibition game I played. The first one I did not record. I wanted to get a feel for the game before I started recording. So Here's a big thing. The walk-ups, the batter walk-ups are now a little bit more, I don't know, cinematic. Instead of just showing it from one camera angle, they kind of have different things. You can see them scratching the dirt with their foot, or you can see them point to the crowd like Babe Ruth. So that's kind of cool, I guess. Here's an example. So that's definitely a quality of life upgrade there as Buster Biggs steps in. Definitely one thing I wanted to address was the pickoff and base stealing in Super Mega Baseball 3. Finally, in SMB 3, you can attempt a pickoff instead of just having to throw a high pitch out to get a runner. However, I played a couple of games and couldn't figure out how to do it. You definitely start by tapping left trigger, which I try to do here, but when I stepped off, I wasn't able to throw to first. I'm not an idiot at video games, so I imagine I'll figure it out. But something else I discovered in SMB3 is that the base running just seems a little bit overly complicated. In SMB2, if I had a decent hit and thought I could stretch it for a double, I would tap Y and my runner would go to second. In SMB3, I'm now forced to use the D-pad and then another button. Adding a second button in that situation seems unnecessary. I didn't think the base running in SMB2 was terrible, so I don't know why they tried to do something to it. Here we can see a strikeout. The strikeout cinematics haven't really changed, although in a couple of places my pitcher does make some kind of like arm gesture, which is fun. Not huge, but fun. There's a great stop at third, but my runner is quick, so I have a runner on, and I'm now going to try stealing a base. The buttons have changed here for running. You now use the D-pad, similar to what I was talking about earlier with pickoff attempts. I don't really know why. It seems like they've moved everything from the XYBA buttons to the D-pad when it comes to base running. Which is fine, I guess. I don't really understand why, but whatever, it is what it is. Probably just being picky again. To note here, a good change, I think, is that the runner now leaves the second you tap the button. So instead of smashing left trigger to get your runner to go right when the pitcher lifts their leg, you can now time it, which means you can now make a bad decision on your timing. So that's good. It gives you a little bit more realistic base running and stealing. So that's fun. I actually enjoy that. Here's a little hit up the middle, and I get to score a run. Hooray! Now, one thing I did note here is that I probably would have had my guy attempt third there, but I couldn't figure out how. So I was like hitting left on the D-pad, and he just stayed at second. I don't really know why. Here you see the trait attribute coming in. This is an RBI man, so he's better with runners on second and third. Small thing here, but notable. I don't know why they called it RBI man. There are women in this game. So why not like RBI ace or something? Stupid small thing, but they seem to be adjusting a lot of small things here, so I don't know why they wouldn't have adjusted that, especially considering that it's so dumb. Hey, look at that, a 2-run double and I'm up 3-0. Probably because I'm playing on Ego 43, but don't judge me. I wanted to have a little bit of fun. Here I have Scooter Sandbrick, who's an RBI dud, and the game did show me that before his at-bat, so that's nice. It means that he's bad with runners in scoring position. I still get a run scored here, though, which is actually nice, because that means even though he's not a great hitter with runners in scoring position, it didn't handcuff me to being a bad hitter. Here's something that I liked that they seem to improve. It's a little bit of an intangible, but I think power hitting got easier. So with the batter I have up now, he's got good power hitting stats, so I was holding X and trying to get a power hit. I don't get one here, but it just felt easier to me. It didn't feel like I was hacking at air. If you've played SMB2, then you might understand what I mean. Feels sort of like a much-needed patch to play in SMB2. Here's one thing I super liked about the improvement of this game, wild pitches. So if you do a power pitch and you miss, it's a wild pitch, and it's possible that it goes past the catcher. In an earlier game that I played, a ball actually got past the catcher, and you'll remember in SMB2 that basically the catcher would always catch it. So in this game, it's great because you can actually have a runner on third potentially run in and score on a wild pitch. I love that feature, but also, if you listen to the words I just said, it's like, well, yeah, no shit. Wild pitches are a thing, which leads me back to my earlier point in that a lot of these features are nice, but they just feel like things that should have been in SMB2. Let's talk now about what I see as perhaps the biggest critical flaw of this game, and that is its lack of cross-platform compatibility. As far as I can tell, as of this recording, there is one game mode available in SMB3 that allows for cross-platform play, and that game mode is Pennant Race, which you might remember from SMB2. Now, SMB3 already announced that cross-platform play for Pennant Race will not be available at launch. Some interviews say it will be available in the summer of 2020. I feel like this is a disappointing shortcoming for Metalhead and SMB3. If you look at their competition, which is clearly Sony's MLB The Show series, they are not going to have cross-platform compatibility until 2021. Super Mega Baseball could have taken a larger leap here and allowed for more cross-platform play, and they might still going into the future. To only have one game mode available for cross-platform and to not even have it at launch just seems like a shortcoming, especially for a game that took 2 years to make. Now, the developers are calling this cross-platform Pennant Race a game changer, and I suppose that it is, considering that MLB The Show still doesn't have this feature, but I just hope that they continue to improve upon it for other game modes. Hey, how about we lighten the mood a little bit? The announcer now says the player's name. That's fun. I didn't try it with the custom character. I kind of would like to. I definitely will. There's a right fielder on my team with a very unpronounceable last name, and the guy did it. So I'm very proud of him. That's a neat feature. I seem to recall that it took the WWE games like 37 iterations to get that in, so God bless SMB for doing it in 3. If you saw that wild pitch there, I aimed it very high and it ended up very low, so again, that's a fun thing that I actually enjoy. Hey, I won the game. This screen didn't change, except I think they used a different sans serif font. The Y is crossing over with the T there. That bothers me as a font nerd. I'm not particularly excited about Pennant Race, and reading game reviews about the purpose of it and watching a video or two about it, it seems like it's for office pools. Like the example they gave in one interview was, hey, you and your 8 buddies at the office want to meet up every Thursday and play a game. That doesn't apply to me. I'm not sure how many people it applies to. Maybe I just need more friends. So I'm not really interested in Pennant Race. I'm very interested in franchise because they took that ability away in SMB2. They had somewhat of a franchise mode in SMB1. You may remember that you were able to purchase like zany power-ups for players, like here are some slippery sneakers that make you faster. Here's a weird soda that all of a sudden gave you the ability to crush home runs. It definitely did not have steroids in it. So that's neat, and I'm glad that they were able to put something in there like franchise mode and include things like buying and selling players and giving you more managerial options, so that's all fun. I probably will not review franchise mode just because, again, Steam only gives you 2 hours, and if I really want to spend $45 on this, maybe I will. So let's get down to that bottom line. Is this worth 45 of your American dollars? In this economy? The developers, in interviews I've read, videos I've watched, seem to have committed to no microtransactions, thus justifying a $45 price point. That's a noble cause. I don't want to have to spend $2.99 every other week to get a new stadium or to get a bunch of new uniforms or colors or something. So I appreciate that. However, buying a new game right now and only getting a couple of new modes that I may or may not play, and when really all I want to do is make a custom team and play with my brother over the internet, I don't know if I want to spend $45 for that. Now, will I? Probably, because I'm a sucker for things like that. Will you? I don't know. I don't know you. At the end of the day, you have to do the math. You've waited 2 years for this game. Did you really, really miss franchise mode? Were you one of those people that was out there saying, I need a game mode like Pennant Race? Or were you just having fun batting a ball around with your friends for 5 innings? If the latter, I don't think you need this game. I think Super Mega Baseball 2 satisfies that itch. You don't get wild pitches and you have to steal bases the way that you have to steal them, but I don't know that you really cared all that much. I guess I didn't. If you were itching for something like franchise mode and you missed it in SMB2, then yeah, it might be worth the money for you, especially if the developers stick to that no microtransaction promise. If they stick with that, and if you have a $45 game that lasts for another 2 years, then yes, it's worth it. Thank you so much for watching and listening to this review of Super Mega Baseball 3. Make sure you tweet at me or leave me comments and let me know the things that I screwed up on. Also, continue watching the Burgess Lovecast YouTube page, where I will be playing Super Mega Baseball 2 for the time being, and maybe in a few days, Super Mega Baseball 3, because again, I am a loser. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.